There's a library book sale, and I thought I would vlog it. For the love of God. Would you believe that most of it's not even mine? Who saw that coming? Alright, so all of that happened, and real quick I'll show you the books that I got from the library book sale. I was all set to say that it wasn't as good as I was expecting. I normally am able to find more books that I'm actually really excited about. This time I felt like I was just kind of finding books and thinking, yeah, I'll give it a try. It seemed like a lot of repeats, like it was very heavy on certain things. There was a whole lot of Amish romance. My mom made out in the Danielle Steele section, so things like that were very full, but beyond that, it was just kind of really a little lackluster for the library book sales that I'm used to. I haven't been to one at this branch, but the one I normally go to is like bananas. So compared to that, I was all ready to say that I was a little bit let down, but when I look at my stack, I did still manage to find a lot of things. So here's what I got from the library book sale. Mary Barton by Elizabeth Gaskell, because I've been wanting to read some things by her. I am a big fan of the movie North and South, which, quick side note and disappointing story, I was craving that movie and I was really, really wanting to watch it, but I somehow don't have a copy, so I requested it from the library and it took forever to get here because it was an interlibrary loan. And when it finally got here, it was the 1975 version. I looked at it and I was like, why does Mr. Thornton look like Patrick Stewart? Oh, damn it. Yeah, it's Patrick Stewart. Which he was good. Everyone else was kind of 70s acting, you know? So then I had to re-request it, and I have since watched it, and I'm probably going to watch it again before it goes back. So I picked this up. I got The Book Without Words by Avi. I've only ever read one other book by Avi, but was a huge fan of it when I was a kid, and have been meaning to try more. I do have more books by Avi, and just haven't got around to them, so I guess I'm adding this one to the stack. I picked up Hush by Jacqueline Woodson, because I've heard good things about this one. And Seven Deadlies by Gigi Levangie? Something not at all that? I don't know. And I'm not going to lie, a lot of it was because I was charmed by this entire cover. Just all of the design of it. It has some good blurbs too, but I don't know that the synopsis is normally something that would have made me pick it up, but this cover did. And a Reader's Digest condensed books. Not at all because I intend to read it, but because I intend to make something with it. I also got a couple of gardening books and a couple of baking books, but those are downstairs on my sort of cookbook shelf area, and I don't feel like going to get them. So, it was like an A to Z garden plant, something specific to Michigan, one that just said chocolate, and I don't remember what the other one was. Also, while I was at the library, I went ahead and picked up a book from their comic section, The Heartless Troll by Owen Torsider. I know I'm saying that wrong. But anyway, just this cover alone made me know I had to read it. I love it. It's really weird, but I love it. So, that is probably plenty for a haul, right? But it does not stop there. Not only did I get sent a few books this month, I also kind of caved in another sale that resulted in this. So, ask me how that whole not getting new books thing is going. It's working out real well for me. I have to take advantage when Better World Books does a sale that's on all used books and not just the bargain bin books, because I've picked through that bargain bin. I know what's in there, I don't need any of it. But when they do all used books that ship from their warehouse, there are things. I have a wish list, so I was ready. So they did 40% off. Plus it's free shipping, plus they donate to good literacy causes, and, you know, there were enough justifications for me to feel that it was fine to purchase the following. So I picked up copies of The Name of the Blade by Zoe Marriott, because I've been wanting to read this one for quite a while, like well before it came out. Way back in the day, when I first started Fairy Tale Fortnight, I had Zoe on, and that was before Shadows on the Moon came out. In fact, that was well before Shadows on the Moon came out when she first was part of Fairy Tale Fortnight, because my original co-host, Ashley, was a huge fan of her other books that were already out. But during the time that Shadows was coming out, we were chatting with her a lot about what she had coming up and whether there was going to be more to Shadows and things like that. And she was telling us about the book that she was currently working on, which was The Name of the Blade. And it sounded so freaking good. And I intended to get it right away. And I think it only came out in the UK at first. And then, you know, life gets away from you. And it's one of those things where you think, yeah, I'm going to get to that. And then I never did. So finally picked up a perfect hardcover copy of this one for like $2.50. Speaking of fairy tales, I also picked up a copy of The Castle Behind Thorns by Mary Haskell, who was also part of Fairy Tale Fortnight back in the day. You probably know I'm a huge fan of The Princess Curse. I've actually been wanting to reread that one lately. It was just so good. I'm still holding out hope for a sequel that's set maybe in YA or adult arena, because I think it would just be amazing. But this was the one that I hadn't read yet. I somehow had managed to not pick up a copy of this and hadn't read it, and it's like high on my list, so finally, just hit myself in the face with that, finally picked up a copy of this. She's a fellow Michigander, so I have to support that. There's a little bit of a fairy tale retelling theme to this, because I also picked up The Girls at the Kingfisher? Oh, nope. The Girls at the Kingfisher Club by Genevieve Valentine, which is a retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses, set during the sort of roaring 20s speakeasy times, which I think is genius. Such a genius setting for it. If you haven't heard me talk a lot about fairy tales before, 12 Dancing Princesses was my #1 favorite as a kid. Loved it. So, this really should have been on my shelves before now. Again, this is how I justify things. Also a retelling of sorts, but not fairy tale this time, is Longbourn by Jo Baker, which is, of course, based on Pride and Prejudice, but it sort of shifts the action to the behind-the-scenes below-stairs thing, taking a look at the servants and all of the, you know, real stuff that's going on there. So, again, this is one that should have been on my shelves long before now, and every time I would go to buy a copy, they would be sold out, or it would be damaged copies, or it wouldn't be the cover that I wanted. And finally, one popped up, super cheap, great condition, it was meant to be. And the last thing I bought in that Better World book sale is another one that really I've been wanting for quite some time now, and that is Mortal Heart by Robin Lefevers. This is the 3rd book in the His Fair Assassin series, and if you didn't hear, there are more books coming in the series. I'm geeked about that, but basically, I've loved each book that I've read of this more than the last, and I didn't think it was possible, because each one I freaking love, and they just get better, so needed it. That is all for books I bought, I think. Now on to some of the books that were sent to me. These were all just random things that were sent to me this month. So they're all either about to come out or coming out soon, and if you want to know more about them, as always, let me know, and I will do my best to share something about them. But the first one is the one that I'm actually currently reading, so if you want a review of it, I can oblige. And it is A Face Like Glass by Frances Harding. I have so many books by her because all of her synopses sound so freaking interesting and different. But this is the first one that I'm actually reading. But this drawing me in immediately. This cover is freaking creepy though. But the synopsis, really cool, really weird. It starts off with a girl who doesn't remember anything and is found in the cheese tunnels of the master cheesemaker Grandable. Which, first of all, I like the word Grandable. It's cool. I also like that he makes cheeses, and I like the word cheeses, I think mostly because it implies that there are many, and I like cheese. That is pretty much why I started reading this. And I'm really liking it so far. It is weird, but I'm liking it. Like, look up the synopsis though, seriously guys, it's weird. But really interesting. She has an interesting brain, I'm telling you. That was from Abrams? Yes, that was from Abrams, and it comes out May 9th, so soon. Also from Abrams is Noteworthy by, I said that really weird, Noteworthy by Riley Redgate. Quite some time ago, I had a book chat on buzzwords and deal breakers, and one of the things I talked about as a buzzword, something that will always draw me in, is gender benders. And that is, there's a long storied history of why that is, but this one is a gender bender, about a girl who dresses up as a boy to try to win a part in an a cappella group because she's sick of being looked over. Sounds really interesting, hits some of those buzzwords, and I'm curious to see what it's all about. Said that weird too, about. And this one comes out May 2nd, so very, very soon. In fact, it might already be out by the time you're seeing this. Ooh, we're running out of battery. Gonna hurry through these last few. The next one is from First Second, which is a comic and graphic novel imprint of Macmillan. You know I love them, I talk about them all the time. And they sent me a copy of Spill Zone by Scott Westerfeld and Alex Pavlin. I'm really bad at the names today, I didn't have time to look them up. Anyway, this one just sounds great. I'm a fan of Scott Westerfeld. You might already have this on your radar, so I probably don't need to go into too much detail, but I'm really looking forward to it. Sounds pretty damn cool. Cover is beautiful. I don't know if you can tell because it's so dark in here, but shiny. And this one comes out May, is what it says, so soon. And lastly, I got 2 books from Scholastic. The first one is Prisoner of War by Michael P. Spradlin. Did I show you guys this in the last haul? I feel like this one's been hanging out in my room for a few weeks, so it either got here right at the end of March and I showed it already, or it was right at the beginning of April. If I showed it, excuse me. I don't know, and I'm going to show it again. Or this is the first time and I'm going to go ahead and show it. This one is about World War II, and it's about a specific arena of World War II. This is about the Bataan Death March. It doesn't come out until June 27th, so there's quite a wait on this one, but if you want to know more about it, I'm happy to do a first impressions or something like that. I don't know if I'm going to read this one right now because I don't know that I'm in the mood for war and doom and gloom so much, but my mom is really fascinated by World War II, not in like a grotesque way, but just, I don't know, the humanity of it, and she might be interested in this one. But again, it sounds like it's going to be pretty dark, so she might not be either, but it will definitely find an audience. I mean, there's a huge audience for things like that. So if you want to know more, let me know. And the last one, speaking of things my mom is interested in and wants to steal from me, is Dark Breaks the Dawn by Sarah B. Larson. This is a retelling of sorts. It's kind of maybe a precursor to or something like that. Let's see what the actual wording is. Yeah, it's just a retelling. I think I'm just making shit up today. It is a retelling of Swan Lake, which is very exciting to me. My mom wants to steal it because she's obsessed with swans, so she saw this cover and was like, I could see the calculation in her eyes. Especially because just that day, the day that it arrived, we had seen like 70 swans on a nearby creek, so that was pretty amazing, and it was, you know, fortuitous timing, and she was in the afterglow of swanage, so she wanted it. I have read something by Sarah B. Larson before. It was a book called Defy, another gender bender, and it didn't quite connect with me, so I'm a little hesitant, but not completely hesitant. She's had some time to kind of hone her craft, and it could have been my mood, and yada yada. So I am a fan of sometimes giving authors a second chance. I've talked about that before as well. So this, I think, will be a second chance. I've got a little while to work my way up to it. It just says June. Actually, it's May 30th. It comes out the end of this month, so I don't have as much time as I thought I did. So if you would like a first impressions, or you want me to go ahead and try to give it a review soon, let me know. That is all for this very sizable book haul. If anyone wants to count up the books that have made their way onto my shelves this year, in my year of not adding books to my shelves, I only partly want to know, and part of me really doesn't want to know. I think I'm due for a shelf clear out, and then maybe that'll justify it a little bit more. But anyway, that was all for this haul. Let me know your thoughts of the books in the comments and whether you want to see more about them. First impressions, excerpts, reviews, anything like that. All of them will be linked in the description so you can find out more about them. And if you have read or want to read any of them, let me know your thoughts. But that is all for now. As always, thanks for watching and happy reading.